One of the big exciting news, of course, that came out earlier this week was the W Series. The 2021 schedule has been released. And it's definitely going to be an exciting month of June. June 26th, Paul Ricard, La Castilla at France will be hosting the first race of the season. And then listen to these following races: Austria, the Red Bull Ring; Silverstone, home of the British Grand Prix; the Hungarian Ring, home of the Hungarian Grand Prix; Spa-Francorchamps, Belgium; the Netherlands. Of course, that's going to be Max Verstappen's home race. Going to be a huge crowd there. And then the United States, Circuits of America, and Mexico City serving as the season finale for the W Series. Daniel, how impressive is this race schedule? These are some of the most recognizable tracks in the world.
It's super. This calendar, I think it's one of the best calendars in a feeder series next year. First of all, Catherine Von Muir, the CEO of W Series, promised after the cancellation of the 2020 season that W Series would have been back bigger and better. And I think she definitely delivered after such a calendar, together with Formula One. Of course, we brought the news in the previous episodes. It's been a super return for W Series. We are super excited to see the 18, probably 20 drivers on the grid in W Series racing next year. The tracks are all very recognizable, all very famous racetracks throughout the Europe, and then the two flyaways in the United States and Mexico. When I spoke to the drivers, I actually spoke with Jamie in the weekend. So it was like 2 days before the calendar was announced. I asked her if she had any idea of the calendar, or the W Series calendar. And she said that she had no idea whatsoever of the calendar. She was also looking forward to learn about the new schedule. Of course, with all the Formula One rounds and racing on the same tracks on the same weekend with Formula One. It's also very exciting for all of them. We interviewed Belen Garcia last week, so she's also said the same thing. And I had asked Bicekevis a couple of months ago when she was racing in the ELMS in Monza, if she had any idea of the calendar, and she said, of course, that she had no idea, but she was really looking forward for a home race at Zandvoort. You definitely said that it was the Max Verstappen's home round, and it's also going to be Bicekevis's home round. So she also showed a video in the couple of days before the announcement. So she knew a couple of days before the announcement of the W Series calendar, and she had a video shot in Zandvoort, making the return of Formula One and of course W Series there. Many drivers are really excited to see to race in Spa-Francorchamps, and I think that with the Formula 3 International Championship, the FIA series, and the Formula 2 Championship splitting their calendars this year, next year actually, I think the calendars that they put together, they have some good rounds and some not so good tracks, while I think W Series managed to find the perfect calendar onto the Formula One season next year.
It is a very, very good calendar next year. All those tracks are so recognizable, good crowds, especially once Formula One comes into town. That just brings everyone in town to watch the races. The W Series there, it's going to be really exciting, especially for Visser. Home race there. That's just going to really get it to where the fans will go crazy if she wins her race and Verstappen wins his race there. That's going to be just off the scale excitement over there. Now, of course, we did talk about the tracks. In 2019, the W Series did kick off their season at Hockenheim. 2021, Paul Ricard. And one of the big things, of course, we're noticing, we're not seeing any of the tracks from the 2019 season in 2021. With the Formula One and W Series sharing the same weekend, do we see a big increase in media presence compared to 2019?
Yeah, definitely. In 2019, the inaugural season of the W Series was raced together with DTM. DTM is big in Germany and in the Central Europe, but of course, nothing can be compared to Formula One and to the attention it focuses on itself. Of course, the biggest championship in the world in motor racing. I think the most important feature for a W Series will be the TV coverage, because of course with Formula One, the W Series package will rights will be sold together with the whole Formula One package. So it's definitely going to be the biggest benefit for W Series, because of all the broadcasters that will feature W Series in their programs. Last year it was a little bit of a problem. They started with some broadcasters. They started with YouTube, and then some countries. Some broadcasters bought the. Well, not both actually, because Catherine Bonmuir told me that they were not selling into the first season the TV rights. They chose on region and numbers and potential numbers of viewers, but still it was a little bit of a challenge for some regions and for some countries to follow W Series live, especially for the US, I think. United States had two drivers on the grid, Sabre Cook and Shea Holbrook, but still seeing the races live, it was a little bit of a challenge for US viewers. So I think, as I said, there will definitely be more journalists, more media on track, on site. But the biggest benefit is going to be the TV broadcasting deals with Formula One.
Definitely the TV broadcasting deals. I know last year it was tricky to try to catch every race. Now that's going to be in the same package with Formula One. It's going to make it really easier. And you bring up a good point. Last season, 2019, two American drivers, we could get them, especially on ESPN, on the same platform with Formula One during the race weekend. That could really draw the American crowd in there. When it comes to the United States, of course, huge television market there, and definitely a big following when it comes to motorsports. When it comes to motorsports as well, a lot of the tracks, of course, we mentioned are very recognizable. But something that really stands out: Austria, Spa, Mexico City. All three of these will have really high speeds. In Austria, between turn 1 and 2, that is where we see Formula One, MotoGP, a lot of room to accelerate, get that high speed. Of course, in Spa, leading up to Air Rouge, Radion, flat out all the way through. It's going to be really interesting to see the W Series take on Air Rouge, Radion, going down those long straightaways. And then Mexico City, out of the final corner, they have a very long straight stretch, down pit road, all the way to that first corner, hard on the brakes. How will the W Series vehicles act under such high speeds?
That's a good point. The W Series car, of course, will be the same as in 2019. It will be the Tatuus Formula 3 car T318 chassis. Engine will be again the Autotecnica Alfa Romeo engines with the Hankook tires. I think the tires deal are not being confirmed yet. But the cars is going to be basically the same as the Formula Regional car, even though the Formula Regional, as we said, is going to merge with the Formula Renault Euro Cup, so they're switching engines. But the level of competitions and the level of performances of the cars is going to be pretty much the same. So Formula Regional raced at Red Bull Ring, the Formula Renault Euro Cup raced at Spa. We have a little bit of a comparison, even though the tires were different, and we know from some drivers, Jamie Chadwick being one of them, how much of a difference these tires make from one car to the other. Even the Formula 3 Asian series employs the same chassis and the same engine, but different tires, and so the performance are somewhere in there, but not perfectly matched. But yeah, as you mentioned, there will be very high speed tracks like Spa, like Mexico City. The former regional and the Asian Formula 3 championships cars can have a little bit more of a setup changes, while on W Series they are very much quite fixed. The drivers cannot change that many options on their cars. There are a little bit more, there are less options to play with, and this is also always to trying to find a good balance between to keep the performance level pretty much the same throughout the season. Of course, in W Series. Had a very interesting concept, which they came into Thursday, and they had a draw to draw the chassis number. So the drivers never had the same car twice. The chassis, the cars were switched between all the field, and there was a draw on Thursday. And this is very interesting, a very new concept for motor racing. But we saw that it definitely kept the performance levels pretty much the same throughout the season. And also the engineers, they never had the same engineer twice, so they had to learn to work with different engineers throughout the season. So there are less options compared to some other championships. For instance, the FIA Formula 3 Championship, they will some of the races they will be racing together alongside the W Series. So performance. If we speak about lap times, we cannot compare them fully because of all these stuff that I mentioned. But still, they are Formula 3 cars, so they are in the same performance range. One is the Dallara chassis, the other is the Tatus chassis, but still they are Formula 3 cars. Not comparable on lap times because of all this stuff, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see these cars going from for instance a track like Mexico City and Spa-Francorchamps, or another slower track like Hungaroring.
Yeah, it's going to be super interesting to watch, especially as you mentioned, a lot of specs. It's almost like a spec series where the drivers can't make that much changes. You don't have a gap between the bigger teams, the smaller teams. The fact that they're doing different chassis, different engineers, this really is going to make it where the driver has to prove what they can do out on the track. And what's really going to be interesting, something I'll be watching for, especially in Mexico City, Spa, Belgium, drafting, the slipstream, that's going to be huge. It'll be really interesting to see. Of course, we know in the United States, a lot of times NASCAR drivers have mastered that art of using the draft to gain positions. We saw it very critical when it was in Formula One in Bahrain at the short, almost oval circuit. These Formula 3 cars, that first lap, I think we're going to see a lot of passes. It's going to be really interesting. And the fact that the way the series is set up, where drivers don't have the same chassis, they don't have the same engineer, and none of the tracks from the first season, 2019, are on the schedule. We anticipate most of the races in 2019 to return back, including the defending champion Jamie Chadwick. Does this new schedule eliminate any advantage the return drivers would have over any of the rookies entering W Series in 2021?
Yeah, that's a great point that you make here. None of the races, as you said, will be back for 2021 compared to 2019, to the inaugural season. So definitely they all start anew. I know some of the drivers have already started to practice the simulator. Of course, they had the W Series Esports League in 2020 following the cancellation of the on-track season. So definitely they are starting to practice a little bit more on the simulator now that they know finally they know the tracks that they'll be competing on. Of course, some of the drivers have previous experience from other categories. For example, Alice Powell and Vicky Piria, they both raced in 2012 in the GP3 series, which is now called the FIA Formula 3, and is racing together with Formula 1. GP3 also was racing with Formula 1, so some of these tracks were on the calendar back then. So some of the racers like Vicky and Alice already raced at those tracks. But for most of them will be completely new tracks, and this, as you said, it's a very good thing for the overall level of the championship, because the returning drivers will not have an advantage on the newcomers. So far, there are 18 drivers on the grid, which were the one that were confirmed for 2020. We don't know if all of them will be back for 2021. We don't know if they're going to be 18 or 20. But the series said that they will have a statement soon regarding the lineup, so we'll definitely keep an eye out on that. But yeah, I think some of the drivers, of course, will start a little bit with a little bit of an advantage. Let's say maybe Visser, Jamie, of course, if she comes back. Also, Emma Kimiläinen had a great season despite missing half of the races for an accident on the opening round. And at Brands Hatch last year, she said that she had an open business with W Series, and she definitely wanted to win the championship in 2020, which became 2021. Alice Powell, as I said, why not Vicky Piria, but also all the newcomers. It's basically impossible to make any predictions now.
It is almost impossible to make any predictions. This schedule is just so phenomenal, and to think that we're going to see all these women racing at these tracks, I think is really going to be allowing the opportunity to really show, especially when we come to Spa, Belgium, Mexico City, Austria, where you have these long straightaways, high speeds. If they could really put on a really good performance, they could really make a statement that, hey, I'm ready for Formula 2. I'm ready to be considered for Formula 1. And I think that's just super exciting that they're going to have this platform to really show their stuff. Now, of course, United States, one of the largest television markets, as I mentioned. Austin, Texas, of course, it has been hosting Formula 1. First time it's hosting the W Series. It is a big city, capital of Texas. A lot of people are traveling in and out, and a lot of events. And of course, Circuits of America, not far from it. So it makes it really great for fans to get to Austin, enjoy the races, enjoy all the amenities of the city. Mexico City is the following weekend. Of course, the track right there in the capital of Mexico, big metropolitan city. Does this elevate essentially European racing series as a viable option for women? Of course, in the United States, many women who are thinking about racing may look into the United States oval, stock car, short track. But would this really promote European racing as a more viable option for them?
Yeah, why not? That's another good point. Why not? I think with the huge media exposure that they will get with Formula One, they will probably try to get even some sponsors stateside, and of course they will raise the attention of all the companies and the teams. So definitely it's a good point. Hopefully they will get some good and interesting opportunities on the other side of the Atlantic as well. I know Sabre Cook, that she wanted to also to pursue a racing career in IndyCar, so she went over to Europe, but her long-term plan was to come back to IndyCar. So why not? This is definitely going to be interesting for them, and maybe hopefully it will open new opportunities also for the drivers that always raced in Europe.
Opening the opportunity for the drivers in Europe, and then definitely, of course, drivers like Sabre Cook who wants to do IndyCars. IndyCar, it has been growing in popularity here in the United States. Of course, some great racetracks here: Barber Motorsports Park, Road America, Laguna Seca, and Portland International Raceway. So definitely, I think this is going to be a really great opportunity to highlight, especially for women racing. If you want to do something more than just the short tracks, the dirt tracks, or drag racing in the United States, there's the Formula feeder series, Formula 4, Formula 3, W Series, and that could really get you to Formula 1, maybe Formula E, or IndyCar back in the United States. Definitely will be following the W Series all season long in 2021, right here on Grid Girls, as well as real life pre-race and post-race during the race weekends for the W Series. That's going to do for our program today of Grid Girls. We thank you all for watching. Be sure to visit Racers, the Girls Behind the Helmet, for full coverage of all the women racing around the world. Please like and subscribe to the Grid Network, and we'll see you next Thursday.